Welcome into yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. A lot of things to get into today. Nice little break that we had there. But either way, Suns are narrowing down that coaching search, as well as Sean Murphy-Bunting is out. So what does that mean for the Phoenix Suns? What does that mean for the Arizona Cardinals? Let's talk about it next.
The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Woo. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need them. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like calluses. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia Show.
What is up, guys? Welcome into yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. A little bit of a break, a 4-day weekend for this show because you guys know I clearly take days off when it comes to Fridays. Monday through Thursday is when this show normally airs, all the way through Thursday. And then Friday, we have the day off. Monday was Memorial Day. And it was a nice little reset, if we're just being fair, given the fact that there's not a lot of things going on in the sports world. But a shorter show today, but I've got a couple of topics for you guys. And most of them are pretty personal to me more than just other things that are going on in the sports world that don't matter as much. And here's where I'll go. I think there is a little bit of advice that Phoenix Suns fans need right now. And I think it starts off here. The Phoenix Suns have narrowed down their coaching search to a couple of different guys. And honestly, it's not the list that I exactly thought this team was going to do, but it does seem like it's like they're actually moving in the right direction. There's a few people when it comes to this Phoenix Suns coaching search who are just frustrated, just looking for a reason to be mad. I totally understand if you have watched this show long enough that you need to hold this team accountable. This team has been run just very poorly over the past couple of seasons. Ever since Mat Ishbia showed up, I gave him grace, thinking he would learn from his mistakes, but he just hasn't yet. And we're moving into year 3 technically. Technically, it's year 2.5. But we're in year 3, if I'm not mistaken, of Mat Ishbia. Year 4, potentially. But either way, the numbers don't exactly matter. Mat Ishbia should have learned from his mistakes by now, or at least shown a pattern of fixing them, and not just doubling and tripling down on things that don't work. Sure, I might have been in on Bradley Beal as well. You might have been in on Bradley Beal as well, given the fact the Suns didn't give up much for him. And moving on, not just from that, but Tyus Jones, I thought it was a good pickup as well, even though I said on this show multiple times, it's not going to fix all the Suns' problems because their biggest problems is not at point guard. This is not the early 2000s Phoenix Suns. It's not the same way basketball is played. A point guard just doesn't matter that much. The wing position matters more. The center position matters more. And a point guard that handles the ball and just distributes, that's not the way the NBA goes now. And so the Phoenix Suns have pulled out a couple of candidates. And this is the first time that I believe Mat Ishbia and the Phoenix Suns have learned from their mistakes. It's not a pattern yet unless you do it multiple times. It's not a trend unless you do it multiple times. And the 5 head coaching candidates, and we'll leave the one towards the end that is pissing off a lot of Suns fans. But the 5 coaching candidates, Mike Inori, who's known as a big personality, not so sure if that's what he's known for, big personality, if that's going to clash well with the Phoenix Suns star players. But I still think more than qualified for the job. Under Chris Finch, was basically the head coach during last year's playoff run because Chris Finch broke his leg during that same Phoenix Suns series. Dave Bliss, you're not going to take something from Oklahoma City? I mean, you're not going to take a top assistant from Mark Daigneault? I mean, let's just be fair. The guy is clearly qualified to be here. Has a relationship with Kevin Durant. Sean Sweeney is the only one on this list that I'm just not exactly sure about. My guy Brendan Clean from Locked On Phoenix Suns is very into Sean Sweeney, but I'm not so sure if I'm into that defensive first kind of player, especially when your best offensive player, that's not what he does. It's not to say that the team doesn't need to play better defensively, but I think you need to lean into your strengths. But still, more than qualified for the job. Chris Quinn, former player, been under the Heat culture, worked his way up through that organization over the last 10 seasons, more than deserving. And then finally, the one that's annoyed everyone. Jordan Ott, not the lead assistant for the Cleveland Cavaliers. That would be my guy, Johnny Bryant. Michigan State, and again, the only non-lead assistant. That's what's pissed people off, because he's got a Michigan State connection. Guys, the issue with Brian Gregory that pissed all of us off was because he was not qualified for the job. He's still not qualified for the job. And so I understand me and other people getting frustrated about the Phoenix Suns hiring a guy who legitimately has no experience in the NBA level outside of 1 year where he just worked in player development. It's not like he was some guy that was carrying this team in any capacity. But here's the, like, when you looked at Brian Gregory's coaching experience, a lot of it was teams in college you have never heard of, one NCAA tournament win. Here's Jordan Ott's experience. He's been in the NBA since 2013. 2013 and 2016, video coordinator under Mike Budenholzer. 2016 and 2022, assistant coach under Kenny Atkinson, Jacques Vaughn, and Steve Nash. 2022 to 2024, assistant coach under Darvin Ham with the Los Angeles Lakers. 2024 to now, assistant coach under Kenny Atkinson once again. And here's what I would say to that. Very plainly this. Look at Jordan Ott's experience and then look at Brian Gregory's. One is not like the other. So you can get frustrated if Jordan Ott gets the job, but don't just try to tell me it's Mat Ishbia hiring his buddies. Jordan Ott and Mat Ishbia didn't go to college together. They legitimately just have a Michigan State connection. And guys, I hate to break it to you. There's a reason why I had to go and start my own show. There's a reason why I saw the avenues closing for me from working at ESPN or working at Fox Sports. I'm not anyone's nephew. Combined with the experience, I don't have those two things. Well, experience, sure I do. But I'm not anyone's nephew. I'm no one's friend of the boss. I hate to break it to you, but this isn't just the sports world. This is how life works. If you're someone that gets a job that isn't McDonald's, you probably knew someone, or at least had a lead into that job. People feel comfortable with people that they know. And if they have the experience, what do I care? So just getting upset with the Phoenix Suns to get upset with the Phoenix Suns is really lazy. And it's not me defending Mat Ishbia. What has he done right over the last couple of seasons? The difference is I look at Brian Gregory and I say, colleges that you've never heard of as the head coach of basketball, never coached a premier or even semi-premier basketball program. All of his experiences in college, and you're telling me that now he can run a Phoenix Suns front office because he was an assistant coach under Tom Izzo? That you can get pissed off about. What I don't think is fair is looking at the Phoenix Suns coaching search now. It's been extremely extensive. Every single guy in the finalist list, or what we presume will be the finalist list according to John Gambadoro. The Suns haven't actually put out a list yet, but Gambo's clearly spot on most of the time. If any one of those guys gets the job, there should be no complaining or hand-wringing over players, over coaches' experience because you don't like them because of a certain college they went to. Brian Gregory's one thing. He was inexperienced then. He's inexperienced now. He shouldn't have the job as Phoenix Suns general manager. That was unfair. But you can never allow the Suns to earn your trust back if you're just looking at where people went to college. What if Jordan Ott is awesome? And given all of his experience, he's more than qualified. He's paid his dues, a decade plus in the NBA. You're just complaining at that point. You're just bleeping and moaning. Because Jordan Ott's ability to coach in the NBA, you're going to get upset for the Suns from taking a coach off the coaching staff of the number 1 seeded Cleveland Cavaliers, who would have beat the Indiana Pacers had half their team been healthy. I encourage you to allow the Suns to earn your trust back and not just look for any reason to think that they're going to do the wrong thing. I am the president of the Go After the Phoenix Suns and all Arizona sports teams fan club when they deserve it. But this just feels like reaching. Any one of these guys would be a very capable head coach in the NBA. And all of them are more than qualified for the job. So just getting upset or getting frustrated over what the Phoenix Suns are doing is just complaining. And it's nonsense. Let's say Jordan Ott gets the job. There is no argument that you can make that is the same as Brian Gregory, where he's just not qualified. A decade plus working himself up through the NBA. He has the same qualifications as anyone else that we presume to be a finalist for this head coaching job. You're just complaining at this point because you're looking for a reason to be mad. I encourage you to not do that. It's a pretty crappy way. It's a pretty sad way to be a sports fan. Now, if he's bad, sure, hold him accountable. But the fact that he got his degree at Michigan State, I don't think weighs as much as you think it does. Or should be so frustrated with. People get hired all the time because they know someone. The issue is not that. It's the experience. Moving on. So, let's get the disclaimer out the way now because you have dumb people who will sometimes watch this show and say to you, oh, you were rooting for an injury. Because again, there's just miserable people out there. Sean Murphy-Bunting getting injured is obviously a bad thing. No one wants to see someone have an injury in any capacity that maybe affects them in the long term or doesn't allow them to get a job in the NFL later on. But at the end of the day, the fact is this. Sean Murphy-Bunting is out. Hope he gets healthier. I don't want players getting injured. Now that I've said my piece on that, we can move on. And dummies won't say, oh, look at you rooting for an injury. No, that's stupid. Sean Murphy-Bunting, let's just start here. The Phoenix Suns losing Sean Murphy-Bunting. The Arizona Cardinals losing Sean Murphy-Bunting last week. I mean, guys, let's just call it what it is. Not one person who watched the Cardinals last year was like, oh, man, already it's starting. This team can't catch a break. Everyone collectively was like, we'll be fine. Sean Murphy-Bunting last year wasn't great. Towards the end of the season, he was better. And I got to be honest with you, I'm pretty disappointed with how Sean Murphy-Bunting played under the Arizona Cardinals. They got him for a fine deal. I thought he was going to be able to be a very capable cornerback for the Arizona Cardinals, add leadership to this team. He won a Super Bowl before. I'm really disappointed with how the Sean Murphy-Bunting tenure with the Arizona Cardinals has kind of crash landed. I thought he'd be better, but forget about that. This is why you should be more than ecstatic to have Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon leading this organization. The Arizona Cardinals did not get flat-footed. They knew about this before the draft. And what they do, let's keep it quiet. Sean, we'll help you out. We'll help you rehab. We'll get you back to 100%. We're not going to nickel and dime you for your contract that clearly was an injury that wasn't sustained while being a member of the Arizona Cardinals. We'll figure that out with you. We're going to need you to be quiet. And that obviously leads into the fact of this is why they're bringing in, this is why they brought in Asante Samuel for a visit. This is why they're still in the market for potentially a cornerback that they could add to this team. I've argued Jalen Ramsey. That's not me saying Jalen Ramsey's awesome. That never came to my mind. Talking about Jalen Ramsey and saying bring him to the Cardinals. You have the money. It's a 1-year contract, and I think he'd be good here. Leadership, former Super Bowl winner. I would love to have Jalen Ramsey on this team. I don't really understand the argument of why it wouldn't work out. It's a 1-year contract. Who cares? Everyone talks about, $20+ million this year. Yeah, it's 1 year. It doesn't count against the cap next year. Who cares? But that's neither here nor there. The youth movement is here in Arizona. And Sean Murphy-Bunting getting injured, although no one likes to see a player get injured, there can be some good that comes out of it. And that's this. I didn't want to see Will Johnson back up Sean Murphy-Bunting. Because here's why. Will Johnson is obviously going to be a guy that's going to take a couple of weeks to be awesome. The hardest adjustment in the NFL is outside of quarterback is cornerback. You have to go from defending Panera Bread State wide receivers and shutting down on the occasion a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Chris Olave or those level wide receivers, but you're not doing that week in and week out. Some weeks you can just kind of phone it in. You can forget about the technique because you're so incredibly skilled. I want Will Johnson to work through the issues that he's going to have as a cornerback in the NFL as a rookie. He's going to have them. That's just you look at Max Melton last year. Max Melton wasn't awesome coming out of the gate. He was better than I thought he was going to be. Starling Thomas for a full year. I hated Starling Thomas. And now I'm like, that's a pretty good depth piece. It takes time in the NFL. And for this Cardinals team that I do think is going to be a team to be reckoned with this year, I think they're going to be a playoff team. People love to say that I'm negative about this team. No, I'm honest. This team hasn't won anything in a decade plus. You want to have sugar plums and rainbows all year long? There's a lot of fan pages. This ain't one of them. I'm here to hold the team accountable. I'm not here to tell them how great they are. You go do that somewhere else. That's not my personality. Will Johnson is going to struggle. And this team as a whole is not going to. I believe Will Johnson has the chance to be one of the best cornerbacks in Cardinals history. I think that highly of him. But to start the season, he's likely going to struggle. And I don't want anyone going after him for it. The first 4 weeks, when you're getting hit with star wide receiver after star wide receiver that would be the best player on most college teams, I get it. I want him to see those players. I want him to get the reps because later on in the season, it ain't going to be time when you're dealing with that 6-week gauntlet to end the season to have rookie mistakes. He's got to be ready to go by then. So Sean Murphy-Bunting getting injured, yes, although it's, so Sean Murphy-Bunting getting injured, of course, injuries, you never want to see them happen. But there can be some good that goes with this. Or there's can be some good that comes from this injury. And that's this. The Cardinals need to just start the full-on youth movement. If the Cardinals hit on Walter Nolan and Will Johnson, your defense has a chance to hit a level that you haven't seen since the James Bettcher, Todd Bowles defense Cardinals. Just bad mother effer after bad mother effer on this team. And whether it's Will Johnson or Walter Nolan or Calais Campbell or Dalvin Tomlinson or Jordan Birch or whoever it is on this team, Baron Browning, Zaven Collins. You've got a chance for a real youth movement here for this Cardinals team. When you insert Will Johnson into that starting role because Sean Murphy-Bunting can no longer go, you're talking about Will Johnson, Garrett Williams, Max Melton, Walter Nolan, Jordan Birch, Baron Browning, Rabbit Taylor Demerson. That's 5 or 6 young guys who could have a starting role in this team as early as the middle of the season. No one thinks that Rabbit Taylor Demerson can't beat out Jalen Thompson. If Birch works out, he could be the edge rusher for this team. Sean Murphy-Bunting going out and inserting Will Johnson, injuries are bad, but good can come out of this. You could really start the youth movement for this Arizona Cardinals defense. You're talking about a defense led by a head coach and defensive coordinator who understand defense. Jonathan Gannon's bread and butter is the cornerback position. Max Melton and Starling Thomas shouldn't be this good. But under Jonathan Gannon, who started out as a DB coach, they figured it out. They worked it out through those guys. And I'm so ecstatic to see what you can get in Will Johnson that I want him starting right away. Now we don't have to deal with the nonsense of Will Johnson competing for a starting role with Sean Murphy-Bunting and then giving it to him, well, because he's the veteran. No, I don't want to do that. The better player now might be Will Johnson. And when you add in Garrett Williams and Rabbit Taylor Demerson and Max Melton and Starling Thomas and Walter Nolan and Jordan Birch and whoever it is, you've got a real youth movement going in Arizona. Roll with that. I don't want to talk about Sean Murphy-Bunting potentially starting for this team, and I know you don't either. So yeah, it's bad and injuries suck and no one wants to see a guy go down for a long period of time. But Sean Murphy-Bunting will be just fine. He'll get another job with someone else at some point. But what the Arizona Cardinals need is youth and promise. Sorry, I didn't want to blow your guys' eardrums out with a sneeze this morning. But you guys get what I'm trying to say. It's a youth movement now and a time for the Arizona Cardinals. It's not time for Sean Murphy-Bunting to go in there and get reps. You have a chance for your own Legion of Boom. But it starts out with putting all the young guys out there. You've got some bad mother effers, man. And you've seen promise from Rabbit Taylor Demerson last year. You see the slot corner ability from Garrett Williams. We all think Walter Nolan was a steal at 16. We like Jordan Birch. Max Melton was good last year. Starling Thomas behind Max Melton was also good. Add Will Johnson to that fold, and you've got a real defensive unit that could be top 10 this year. And it's a youth movement that you haven't had since the Todd Bowles, James Bettcher-led defensive Cardinals. You just haven't had that. So Sean Murphy-Bunting going out for God knows what reason. I mean, I can't believe you sign a massive contract and you get injured doing something that wasn't a part of the team facilities. That's just a boneheaded move. But you wish the guy a speedy recovery. You don't want the dude to be down forever. That's an awful thing to think as well. But the Cardinals are just fine. And it goes to show you, under the leadership of Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon, just how fine they are. If this would have happened and they didn't go get Will Johnson, you and I would have thought the same thing, like, oh my goodness. You knew Sean Murphy-Bunting was injured and you didn't do something about it? But no, it's not what they did. Kept Sean Murphy-Bunting quiet, said they'll figure out a way to take care of him. Imagine if people knew that Sean Murphy-Bunting was out. Maybe Will Johnson doesn't fall that far. Maybe someone trades up ahead of you. The possibilities are endless. But because of the leadership of the general manager and head coach, it didn't happen. I would say you're better in a position than you were before after the Sean Murphy-Bunting injury. And with a plethora of young guys, the youth movement is starting in Arizona. And it's going to be nasty. And with all these guys on little contracts, small contracts, rookie deals, there's a chance for this defense to be special this year. And under the coaching of Jonathan Gannon, whose bread and butter is the defensive back position, oh man, get excited. Get excited. And it's nice to know as Cardinals fans that Sean Murphy-Bunting going out, everyone was just like, whatever. Wish him a speedy recovery. Don't want him to get hurt, but whatever. Whatever. So with that being said, guys, the Cardinals are in a just fine position. And Will Johnson now has to be thrust in that role to shake off the rookie experience to be ready for that stretch run late in the season. Sean Murphy-Bunting going out, no one wants to see it, but good can come from it. All right, guys, thank you so much for being a part of the chat this morning. I know we took a couple of days off there with Memorial Day, and obviously with Friday, I don't stream on Friday, but Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Come on in, join me. We're going to break down the most interesting things going on in Arizona sports that day. So appreciate you guys making me a part of your day. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Tell me how you think the show can improve. Tell me what guests you want to see. We just had Jason McIntyre on Saturday. That was awesome. We're going to continue with those Saturday specials. Let me know if, guys, you want me to get on the show. I have a pretty extensive Rolodex now of guys I can bring on. Appreciate you guys making me a part of your day. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It helps me out more than you guys know, and that's all you have to do. You just have to click a button. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, 7 a.m.